Good morning, everybody. A small story from Uganda. Yesterday evening, at the end of the debate, we were asking INTU to do a number of things for us, raise our collective voice, and presented other ideas. Now, this small story is about how a very small quasi-national trust has actually already benefited much from INTU. So it's a happy story of our collaboration with INTU. Now, many of you in this room joined us for the international conference 2 years ago. And at that time, we placed a lot of emphasis on the intangible heritage, if you remember. Now, this small story is about bricks and mortar in Uganda, and particularly in its capital city. Now, the context of Uganda, for those who have not been there, is very different from here. Maybe a couple of points just to describe this context. First is that Uganda is a very recent nation. It's still looking for its way as a nation. Secondly, it's a very poor nation. Per capita income about $500. Per capita income here in England, I looked it up last night, $42,000. It's a nation with a rapidly growing population. Every generation, our population doubles. So in this context, the solution that has been proposed by our government has been modernity. And modernity has meant attracting foreign investments. It has meant developing the infrastructure. It has meant moving away from our varied heritage, and particularly our built heritage. So this particular presentation is about campaigning to preserve Kampala's historical buildings. And it is, again, in a difficult context where our city has grown in one generation from 300,000 to what we think is about 3 million, where there's no heritage legislation at all, where cultural tourism is also broadly non-existent. If anybody comes to Uganda as a tourist, is to look at lions and mountain gorillas, but it's as if our country didn't have any people in it. So it is in this context that we started thinking, a small organization that we are, about what can we do to salvage some of the built heritage of our capital city. Now, that heritage is the product of many different influences. One of a traditional African kingdom, and you can see the slide there on your right, what Kampala used to look like maybe 150 years ago. It is also the product of a colonial period and the product of a very strong influence from the Indian community. And some of you in this room will remember the period of Idi Amin, when many of the Asian Ugandans were forced out of the country. So, faced with this very complicated context, we started thinking, and how do we approach this? And 3 years ago, Emily and myself found ourselves in Harare. And we had a little time to visit the National Museum, and in one corner in the National Museum, we found this rather, I must say, rather dusty pile of maps that had been produced by the Zimbabwe National Trust, present here. And that really gave us an inspiration, and we said, well, maybe we cannot save all these buildings that are being raised one after the other, but at least we can map them and try and raise the interest of the local authorities. So armed with our Harare map, we went back to Kampala and started talking to different partners. We started talking to the municipal authorities, we started talking to the Uganda tourism authorities, and to the local kingdom in which Kampala is situated. Now, we also needed money. We have no money at CCFU. And INTU presented us with another opportunity. So not only the opportunity to learn about the Zimbabwe National Trust, but another opportunity was to take part in a walk in Spain that you heard about on the first day of our conference. And we managed to raise a significant amount of money by walking across northern Spain in Galicia, and raised enough money to fund the production of a map. So this map is going to be launched next month, and we are hoping that gradually we're going to be able to raise the interests of local partners in the value of this history. We are planning to develop some briefing notes about particular buildings and to encourage the second largest city in Uganda, which some of you visited when you came for the conference, to do likewise with their built heritage. That is the city of Jinja. Now some final points. Not many results as yet, but a beginning that would have been impossible without INTU. And I think that that is really one lesson for us as a small trust, is that it really has made possible for us to get involved in such an initiative. Secondly, that we should not be daunted by an environment that at first sight seems very negative. So our low-cost approach, we hope, is going to bring us more result as we go along. And that by building a coalition with these other partners, the municipal council, the tourism authority, it has also given us a louder voice than would otherwise have been the case. Now to finish, this is the only heritage site, built heritage site, that is currently protected in the whole country. It is the only one. It's a heritage site. There is no other. Hopefully, when we meet again in Indonesia in 2 years' time, again thanks to INTU, we'll be able to say that there is one or two more. So, clearly from our story, no trust is an island. Thank you very much.